Let's see. Torment II. All melee attacks deal increased damage, but the minimap is disabled. Deal. When I set out to make this build, I had no idea how much fun it was going to be. Seriously, you guys have got to try this. Melee attacks become so overpowered with this Torment active, you can use any of the new melee weapons to clear a latent orb extraction. Seriously. I don't know if the astronauts intended it this way, but Torment 2 basically turns Belmorn and Scarlet Coast into a melee lover's dream. I was hitting crazy numbers on stunned enemies with melee attacks. I saw the amazing crowd clearing capabilities of the Morning Star, and surprisingly the follow-up attack using the fists. This gets even crazier if you get lucky and happen to get the surge that gives double damage to melee attacks. So when you're going on challenge runs with Torment 2 active, don't just go into it with any old build and treat the buff it grants as an ignorable passive effect. Try out a few runs with a melee focused build for a different kind of playstyle. We're using the Psychopomp, 3 ways to stun, the Ring of Wings, and the U. The Psychopomp will charge melee, Shockwave and Curse Bell and the Whisper for constant crowd control, and the U and the Ring of Wings are the glue that really makes this all work, giving you the mobility to quickly hunt down enemies all over the battlefield. The rosaries are important here too. Dash stamina, extra melee charge, light spell charge, and don't skimp out on the brawler bead. I won't speak for how effective it is outside of this torment, but here even your uncharged melee attacks hit hard enough that you could reliably use them to take down enemies. The Morning Star is the best if you're going for a latent orb extraction. Utilize your full range of stuns on enemies and spam the slam attack, and the Morning Star will clear entire hordes of enemies. It doesn't necessarily need stuns to deal a good amount of damage, but the aim is to keep enemies stunned as much as possible to get the most use out of it. Besides dealing increased damage to stunned enemies, crowd controlling enemies counteracts the Morning Star's slow windup. Or you could just use the AoE from the slam attack to finish off groups if you're already sure you can get the kill. I was genuinely using the strategy to easily clear the extraction zone on latent orb runs. I should mention here that the Ring of Wings is crucial for the strategy. There will be times where you're going to need it to swoop in and get above groups of enemies. I'll also mention that the normal melee attack we get out of this thing is good in its own right, hitting multiple enemies close enough together and dealing great damage. I hadn't really thought much of the Morning Star until I considered using it for a melee build, but now that I've seen it like this, I've got way more appreciation for it. The guitar is probably the most reliable of the new melee weapons when it comes to using it outside of a strictly melee focused build. It fires off like a harpoon, hits hard and staggers, and you can always sacrifice a rosary slot for the extra melee charge bead if you want to use 2 charges for utility purposes. With Torment 2 active, you can mix up between Guitar Strikes and Psychopomp shells to systematically work your way through enemy spawns. It felt great knowing I could rely on this thing to one-shot some enemies, or finish off others after they'd already taken a little chip damage. The guitar was the least effective when it came to clearing orb extractions though. Where it shines over the Morning Star is in speed and mobility. That jab comes out quick, and you can use that pounce attack it has as another way to close the distance when used in combination with the Ring of Wings and the U. It also shines in making you feel like a damn assassin, flying around the map, striking enemies down with an unseen dagger. And don't be shy about making good use of the brawler beat when using this weapon, because uncharged melee attacks can net kills and refill your guitar charges. The straight up fist attack actually surprised me here. I mentioned earlier how we can clear crowds. That's because after using the charged melee attack, you can angle the follow-up attack onto another enemy if you're fast enough and if they're close enough. Then you mix in uncharged melee strikes, which will clean up enemies in a couple of punches thanks to the Torment and the Brawler bead. And this will in turn recharge your charged melee, and so the cycle continues. And this is another reason the strategy works so well. The fists have the benefit of recharging far more quickly than the melee weapons. So I ended up in positions where I felt like I had 3 or 4 melee charges in a row because kills from the follow-up attack fills the meter so quickly, as does uncharged melee kills, which seems to fill the meter faster than it does with the other melee weapons. I don't know. I'm starting to think the plain old charge melee might be the best for this tournament. But the Morningstar does have that AoE damage though, so it's a tough call. But anyway, I'm a sucker for some good old interactive melee combat and first-person RPGs that intend for players to combo their skills with their melee weapons for mix-ups in combat, and I feel this build goes a long way in capturing the feel of that playstyle. Using melee weapons to clear latent orb extractions is probably only something that can be done with this Torment, realistically. But that's what makes using melee builds with Torment 2 active so much fun.